The one I had with Parveen was a highly intense relationship because she was capable of great love. Put all Muslims girl in the back of a truck and put mattresses over them, and that's where she had her first panic attack. What I saw her suffer because of her mental problems. So Parveen is really the most wonderful woman I could hope to have. But Parveen Babi has her own place in my life, and I will not minimize that place because the experiences that we went through were extraordinary. Hi, I'm Kabir Bedi, and you're watching an exclusive interview with me done by Faridoon on Hungama on my book, Stories I Must Tell, The Emotional Life of an Actor.
So, you've spoken about your personal relationships with an amazing candidness, and it really surprises at many levels. Amongst the relationships that you've had, I felt, and I would want to know from you, that one of the most special relationships that you had was with Parveen Babi.
Certainly. I mean, every relationship is special, but the one I had with Parveen was a highly intense relationship because she was capable of great love, and yet she had her problems which caused enormous traumas as well. So it was a very highly volatile and highly emotional relationship because there was lots of tumult happening at all times, whether it was pleasant or unpleasant. But, you know, the love that I felt for her was extraordinary and intense. And what I saw her suffer because of her mental problems was equally traumatic in certain ways for me. And dealing with that was emotionally exhausting, but it was part of the journey, and it made that relationship very special.
And what is appealing is that, like all your relationships, if you talk about Parveen's, your relationship with Parveen Babi, you have humanized her. You know, you've empathized with her, and you've presented her in a nice light. You've presented her successes, the sort of success that she enjoyed. And I was watching one of your interviews, event videos, when you were in Italy and she was with you. And you said that she's a magnificent woman, and you may be knowing her because she was on the Time cover, and I'm in love with her. You know, that is something that really appeals because she's no more. Many times when we read biographies or autobiographies, they're an exercise in venting out.
Yeah.
But yours is not. Like, say, if you're taking the context, I think amongst all the relationships, but if you're specifically talking about Parveen Babi, how important was it for you to present her to just humanize her, to present the positives around her as well? And you also mentioned that one of the reasons why she may have developed the mental illness was that she was in Gujarat in a girls' college, and there were riots, and the Muslim girls, they were sent to a certain like they were hidden off. And maybe she developed that element of phobia from there. So you've also tried to source out that where it all started from, which is something which is amazing.
Yes, you know, when you love somebody, you want to care for them, you want to take care of them. And I loved her, and I realized later there were problems, and I wanted to be her protector. Now, I mentioned there that her problems could have begun in childhood because she used to see spirits in the monuments around her house that were related to her family's history, because the Babi Pashtun clan had served the Emperor Humayun at one time. And there was an incident I mentioned where when Parveen had one of her disturbing episodes, her mother said to Mahesh Bhatt, her father used to be like that. So my question was, could it be genetics as well that created that situation? The third incident which you mentioned, which is that during the riots in Ahmedabad, the matrons and wardens of the college put all Muslims girl in the back of a truck and put mattresses over them, and that's where she had her first panic attack. that too was probably the first manifestation of panic attack that we knew about. It could have happened earlier, but that's the one that we knew about. And so the roots of that lay very deep. What hurt me the most was that when Parveen and I finally separated and she came back to India, and this was, I don't want to give away the thing, but I had other hopes from her and hope to help her. But she left and came back for reasons of her own, which is detailed in the book. But the entire Indian press made it out to be that I had shattered her emotionally and therefore she had gone crazy. Terrible things were written about me. And the fact of the matter is, I didn't counter it at that time because I knew she was coming back to Bombay to rebuild her career because she'd left India with me and people were upset. So she had to rebuild her career. I let people say what they had to say. I let Parveen rebuild her career. 5 years later, I gave an interview in Stardust to a journalist called Usha Keni, where I clarified what had actually happened. And I didn't say anything after that, no matter what people said. Now in my book, I've finally told the truth as it was, what actually happened, what led to a journey outside India, what led to her coming back, what followed her coming back, and the graph of our careers through the years until the point she died, and the way we related in those times, even after we split up. And my last meeting with her at the holiday in a few years before she died.
Yes, you mentioned about that.
This book is cathartic in that sense, that I'm able to put out what happened to me, but it's also a book that's revelatory to me because looking back on my own life reveals many things to me about myself. You see yourself with different eyes, you see yourself with a different wisdom, you see yourself with more humanity, you're more forgiving for the errors that even I made. I'm more forgiving of the errors others made. And I think that's why I've tried to humanize all the people that I've had relationships with. Of course, you can take the path of saying, "Nahi, main theek tha, aap galat the." That works in the short term. Ultimately, you know, Parveen had a problem and needed compassion. And even though I'd get terribly upset and get very angry with her, I would remind myself that she needs help and I'm here to give that help. And so that's what defined my relationship with her, the bulk of it. Although, believe me, there were times it was not easy. It was not easy because during my most successful years, there were problems that were caused that made me say, my God, I wish this hadn't been there. But the fact is I chose to be there and I wanted to be there.
You know, and your relationship with Parveen was one of the relationships where you really wanted it to work because you were in love with her. There were women who were in love with you, but you were in love with her. And ironically, I find it a strange coincidence or strange irony that your wife Parveen Dusanj, you've been around. I think that the longest relationship maybe that you've had is with Parveen Dusanj now, and it's the most consistent in many ways as well. Do you find it ironic that both have the same name, first name?
This is what I told Parveen when we got together in London, and then we moved to Rome, where I lived, where we lived for 2 years. I said, look, I've had a Parveen in my life, you know, would you mind changing your name or something, because people get confused. And of course, she had this very British, how dare you ask me to change my name? It's my name. But she, when things went on and she came to India and she realized that Parveen actually had been a major part of my life in the people's consciousness, I started calling her V instead of Parveen. But you're right, my longest relationship now is with Parveen. We've been together for 15 years. Right. We've been married for 6 of those years. And it's a beautiful fitting climax to my life because she's brought great fulfillment to my life. And I must say, I could not have completed this book without the love and care and support that she gave me in creating an ambience around me that protected me from a lot of distractions and encouraged me to write the book, got angry with me when I, you know, lost the plot or didn't get on with it. So in every way, she urged me on. And I must say, without her, I would not have finished this book as quickly as I did and as well as I did. Not to mention, when she read the book, certain insights and certain feelings she had also were extremely valuable, no less valuable than the 2 or 3 other people that I looked to for advice. Her advice was invaluable. So Parveen is really the most wonderful woman I could hope to have. And I call her V, but Parveen Babi has her own place in my life, and I will not minimize that place because the experiences that we went through were extraordinary.
Absolutely. And so talking about Parveen Dusanj, I saw one of your interviews, both of you together, and to have someone in your life who knows that the sort of eggs that you like, the fact that you need to read your 7 newspapers in peace in the morning, that no one should disturb you. Now, how important are those little things in a relationship?
They're very important, because what makes each of us unique is the peculiarities we have, little idiosyncrasies we have. Somebody likes dal this way, somebody likes eggs that way, somebody likes... हर एक की अपनी पसंद होती है. So if you're with somebody who not only accepts your idiosyncrasies but loves you for them, then it's very nice. She has her idiosyncrasies, which I like, and where we don't like each other's idiosyncrasies, we agree to disagree. But it is those differences that are very important, that give us our individuality. And ultimately, as I said in my book, we're all unique experiments in consciousness. We are unique because of those differences. And we're all fragments of that ultimate being, each fragment being different to the other, and yet part of the larger whole. Hi, I'm Kabir Bedi, and you're watching an exclusive interview with me done by Faridoon on Hungama on my book, Stories I Must Tell, The Emotional Life of an Actor.